Quantum Incursions have just received a massive update that will fundamentally change how the feature functions, and I am really excited for it. It feels like the incursions are starting to come into their own as a feature. The short version is that you are now more encouraged to work together as a guild, big spenders will have less of an effect on a guild's performance, and rewards are more accessible to all players. The first and most obvious change is going to be how the difficulties work. In the previous championships, each difficulty was a map that led to boss nodes, and upon beating those nodes, you can then move to the next difficulty. Now, the difficulty will be increased on each day, regardless of your guild's progress through the level at midnight server time. To help compensate for this time-based progression through difficulties, now every single difficulty will have 3 infinite nodes after beating the bosses. 1 for attacking army boosts, 1 for defending army boosts, and 1 for donations. Enemy attack values will range from 10 to 30% on difficulty 1, all the way up to 325 at difficulties 11 and 12. The farming nodes will have boosts on the lower end of the spectrum, so it's in your guild's best interest to try and reach the farming nodes as quickly as possible each day in order to get the easiest enemies and therefore most rewards. Since the feature starts at 8 AM server time, the first difficulty only lasts 16 hours, after which they are all 24, except for the final 12th difficulty, which is merely 8 hours. This means that regardless of you or your guildmates' participation, you will be able to participate in each difficulty. For small guilds, this means that they can actually get to those higher levels and enjoy the better rewards, while for big guilds, this means that players with fewer boosts are more able to participate during those first few days. Now, there is one other change that has been needed for some time and is finally arriving with this update. When you buy Quantum Actions, the cost goes up. Previously, this cost was not only capped at a maximum of 1,530 shards per 100,000 actions, but also would reset every single day. This made it way too easy for people to just get a ton of progress by blowing shards on actions, and then the cost would reset every day so they could do it again. Now, the cap on the maximum price has been removed, and the cost will no longer reset every day, but rather every season. This change makes the feature a lot more fair, whether you spend or not. Massive kudos to Inno for actually making this change. As you may guess though, rewards have changed significantly too, mostly for the better. First and foremost, the Quantum Pass. Each action taken on a node will now give 10 progress, regardless of difficulty, and each milestone on the pass will now require 250 progress. In other words, every 25 fights or donations you make, you reach a milestone. The rewards in the pass have also been changed. Shards have been slightly reduced, but you now also get more quantum medals, fragments of the epic kit, and the selection kits for the Neo Colossus. All the shards from the paid passes have been removed, which means that the feature is now quite a bit more fair. While you're doing those fights or donations on nodes, you'll now see that the list of rewards is the same across all difficulties, including the chance to win each. This is the full list here, and yes, those are fragments of the silver and gold Neo Colossus upgrades. All these rewards will be available from every node on every difficulty. What changes is the quantity. At higher difficulties and with harder nodes, the amount of each reward you can win is increased. You'll still have the same 40% chance to win a reward per node interaction. In even better news, the number of different types of fragments you can win has been reduced. Fragments of level 1 buildings and their upgrades have been consolidated into just selection kits for those items, and any leftover fragments you have will be converted into fragments of the respective selection kits at the start of the championship. That should make inventory management a little bit easier. Also, you know those end of incursion chests? Previously, your guild had to clear level 1 for you to access them, and the quality of rewards depended on which difficulty you were able to clear. However, now that difficulties change daily, your guild will have to unlock them via 2,000 progress, and then with additional progress, the rewards get better, up to 150,000 progress. All the chests have the same rewards, with you getting fragments of the Neo Colossus selection kit, silver upgrade and golden upgrade, fragments of whichever 2 side buildings your incursion has, and quantum medals or forge points. They still cost 1,500 shards to open, assuming you have your 2 free boxes, and the reward for opening all 6 is still the Epic Incursions kit. The last major important thing changed here is the leaderboard. Previously, rewards would only be given out at the end of each championship. Now you will get rewards after every single season. This does mean that the quantities of each individual reward have been shrunk, but if you place in the same ranking every season, you will get significantly more rewards per championship. For example, if you placed first in the last championship, you would have received 5,000 forge points as part of your reward. Now, if you place in first each season of the championship, you will receive a total of 12,000 forge points. This gives a little bit more reason to try and catch up to other guilds if you can. There is a new level for the Neo Colossus, and it's a platinum upgrade. It looks cool and will be available exclusively from your guild's performance in the leaderboard. This chart shows the breakdown of how it will be given out. It won't be fast to get unless your guild is placing top 3. Starting with 4th place, you're looking at the better portion of a year to get each platinum upgrade. Now, for my thoughts. On top of both the action changes to not reset daily and the removal of shards from the paid passes, a guild's ranking will be based much more heavily on their ability to work together and the guild's overall strength, rather than the size of a few members' pocketbooks. This is a massively positive change, as it shifts the feature to being less pay to win and much more accessible to be competitive, even if you do not or cannot spend. On top of that, with all the changes to bring fragments of the silver and golden upgrades for the Neo Colossus to not just all node rewards, but also the end of incursion chests, it means that every consistent player of the feature, regardless of their guild, will be able to access those upgrades. Previously, to have any chance of seeing those upgrades, your guild would have had to reach level 7 for the silver and level 8 for the gold. Now all players have a route that will enable them to get rid of the ugly scaffolding on their colossi. It's just a matter of how long that process will take. I'm a huge fan of that change, and all the changes as a whole. The only one change that I would make, and I did suggest this, is to have easier farming nodes with reduced progress to the pass and fewer rewards that are placed at the start of the incursion to allow weaker players to still participate past the first few days. I think that we really are starting to see the incursions becoming a fully fledged feature of their own, and I'm glad to see that they're not afraid to shake things up a bit with this feature. This update means that there is much more room and much more of a reason for players to grow their strategies and boosts for Quantum Incursions over a much longer term, similarly to how the Guild Expeditions did with level 5 and to some extent Guild Battlegrounds as well. In my opinion, it's still far too simple if guilds can consistently clear all the bosses of each difficulty, but this change at least goes quite a bit farther in providing long-term goals to pursue than it has before, and for that, I am grateful. I'd recommend you start thinking of how you want to build your settlement for this new version. More decorations for higher boosts later on, or how will you deal with expansions when you get fewer shards? Feel free to discuss your strategies over on my Discord server linked below, and as always, I'll see you all next time.